mentioned, because today onwards whatever we study, we are having the practical exam, and then in that the first topic which we are going to start is a DNS, because for whatever practical you do, so DNS is one of the primary one. So this is very very important. That's why just we are suggesting that people try to join the live session. So maybe the others who are not able to join, they can just follow with the recorded thing, and you can get your doubts to be clear maybe the upcoming sessions, or through that your WhatsApp, and then WhatsApp group also possible. Okay, now so these, because this is a very very important thing. So then we can start with the DNS, domain name service or domain name system, or whatever we can call. These one of the very very important service, as I mentioned. So that how the DNS is working, I think you might have seen that just that before that Wireshark thing, how the DNS request is going from your computer to as a DNS client. As a normal internet user, how the DNS concept is working, just you have seen. So now today we can see that what is the way that the actual DNS server is working, and then how that query is going to that server, and how that is fetching the detail, and that how that is giving the detail. Then we are going to configure as a server how to configure our own DNS server, and how to test our DNS server is working, as well as in the upcoming practical, then what is the way to configure the web mail file, all other servers with the DNS. Like I want to configure like nailit.in, I want to configure. So first thing I have to configure the DNS thing. Then I have to configure the web server. Then I have to integrate DNS my web server. Then only when if I open nailit.in any website in browser, yes, the web page will be coming. So the primary one is DNS. So that how the DNS concept is working, and what are the essential things to do to start the DNS thing, as well as what are the other important informations to be known. So all those things we are going to see today. So now first I'll show you what is the way the DNS concept which is working, because it's a hierarchical structure. So how the DNS is working, the DNS is will be working with the which is called a root. It's called a root domain, DNS dot, so like nailit.in. So dot in is a domain which we are calling as a .com, .in, .edu, .net, or whatever thing. So these things we are calling as a TLD, top level domain. So then inside whatever we are having, then before the .com or before the .in, whatever we are having, like yahoo.com. So .com we know because it's a top level domain. So before that, whatever we are having, that is called a root thing, or root whatever we can call root domain. So this is actual domain which is called Yahoo. Yahoo altogether will be yahoo.com, and that may be having whatever the www or other subdomains or all the other services may be there, that is called a subdomain thing. So this, how this structure is there, that is very very important. So that's why. So now first we can see what is the way this structure is being there. What is the way this structure is being there. Just I am sharing one blank screen, our previous one. I'm sharing the previous screen. Just this screen, just you can note it down. What is the way this DNS? I mean, domain name, in that top level domain, host name, all other the whole structure is being there. That is very very important. So now I'm going to create one like mail dot google.com. So mail.google.com. So in this, what is the domain? So domain is google.com. This is called domain name. It's called domain name. What about the .com? What about the .com? Including this .com. So .com is top level domain, TLD. Just you can note, so TLD or expansion is top level domain. Then what about the mail? So mail is the host name. Mail is host name. What about the Google? The made by us. So this is our overall structure. Then what about the whole thing? whole thing is called FQDN, full qualified domain name. Full qualified domain name. Okay, now FQDN. This is top level domain. This is the structure what you do. Okay, now so this is the one domain name. What is the way the domain name is different parameters we are having here. The parameters in the sense here, what are the portions we are having here, and because all together at a time, I mean all together final is called as a full qualified domain. Because a full qualified domain is the real domain name. What is the purpose of this DNS? What is the purpose of the DNS? DNS is one of the service to be identified one computer in this internet world. For example, as a human being, we are having a name. We are having name. With using the name only, we are being identified in this world. So, for example, we are having different identity. First is name is one of identity. Then we are having mobile number, mail ID, or maybe other ID related, government ID related. Now we are having passport. We are having Aadhaar card, driving license. So different identity for different services. Yeah. Like that, we just assume I have one computer or a server or whatever computer, normal desktop or workstation or server, whatever maybe. So I'm going to configure web or mail or file or whatever is that. So before that, just I should give a name to that computer. So I should give a name to that computer. That name is called host name. First, I'm going to install a fresh OS. In that fresh OS, I have to set one host name. That host name here, which is called mail. Whatever host name I'm setting, so that will be coming to this place, which is called as a host name. Later, I'm buying a domain from the registry like naili.in or munivel.com or whatever domain name you want. So similar to your google.com. So I had to configure the DNS server. So that google.com, which is having two portions. One is .com portion. One is a .com portion. So another is other than the .com, only your name of your domain, which is called networks. So these are extension, which is a .com, not com, including .com. So including .com, which is called top level domain. So this is called top level domain. Then the remaining portion is called net bias. So altogether this is being called as domain name. This is called domain name. Okay now. So with using this domain name only, so we are going to configure the DNS server. Then finally your computer host name as well as the configured domain name will become as a full qualified domain name. So later, whenever you are going to access that computer anywhere in the world, what is the way to access? So maybe every computer may be having the IP address. Just that IP purpose we are giving naming. So this naming purpose we are naming here. We are IP address. We are having IP address, whatever public IP address. I mean static IP address. That static IP address will be associated with one name. So that name is called domain name. So that means we are a human being. We cannot able to remember always IP address. That's why we are giving a name to one each and every server or service to remember easily, like google.com, yahoo.com, facebook.com, twitter.com, youtube.com. So always we cannot remember the IP address of the corresponding website to be open. No, we cannot able to remember. That's why google.com, yahoo.com. Sometime what we are doing, that too we are not remembering. Always you are trying the search engine. So search engine will be searching the corresponding name, and wherever the name is matching, it will be giving. And with using that result, we are going to reach the corresponding website. So just a naming thing. Whatever computer we are having, to that computer we are giving a proper naming. That proper naming is called full qualified domain name. So full qualified domain name is so proper naming to one of the computer what you are going to make as a server for web, mail, file or whatever purpose. This is the primary things. So what are the minimum requirement for this purpose? Yes, should have we should have it is Windows now, Windows Server operating system, any Linux, default Linux is your server only. So we should have any server OS. So server OS. Second thing, we should have static IP. So if you are going to configure a real website, a real DNS, you need domain name also to be purchased from the registry. Otherwise, I'm going to configure locally. No problem. I'm going to configure myname.com. That to be worked only within my computer or within my lab. Yes, for that purpose, this is optional. This is optional. But these two things are required. These are the essential requirement for configuring before configuring the DNS thing. So you should have the operating system, which is server compatible operating system, which is server OS, then static IP, then domain name is optional. So anyhow, here we are going to configure with your virtual lab or locally. We can without domain name also, because it's a locally, it will be working only locally. If domain name we are giving with the static IP, the static IP that time will be a static public IP. That time this public also required. Otherwise, you have to buy from the shared hosting. So we no need to the public IP. Shared hosting, any like Windrock or GoDaddy or wherever we can buy, and we can able to use the shared hosting. Any that is a different concept, little different, only to save money. Okay, now. So this is the requirement of the DNS thing, and then this is overall how the DNS is can be DNS domain name is named to become as a full qualified domain. How one computer is getting a full qualified domain name. Now, yes, all these things. So this structure is very important thing. So I think that now just you are recently you have completed your Linux installation. You know how to install the operating system. Now, then what you have to do next when you are going to start an advanced topic? Yes, you have to installing the OS. This you know now. Then you have to set a static IP. Your range you have to assign the static IP. Then you have to configure the domain name. So these things when you do, your computer will become as a full qualified domain name. Depends on the domain. If the domain is local domain, it's a local full qualified domain. Locally, your computer can be identified with using that name. So can be ping instead of pinging with the IP address, we can ping with this name also because it's a full qualified domain. Okay. So, or if the domain is real domain and IP is a public IP, you have purchased both. You have purchased from your hosting provider. Yes, anywhere in the world, your computer can be accessed with using domain. Okay, now. So this is the important thing what you have to know before going to start the DNS thing. So if you have any doubt, anything, yes, you can get clear your doubt. If you have any doubt in this, just this is the introduction to. I mean, this is a prerequisite to the DNS. So if you have any doubt, anything, please you can ask. Because already you have done the DNS Wireshark exercise. There you might have tried that NS lookup command as a client, and any you are a basic computer user, you know how to access a website, and you might have used a lot of website. You have access for your education or your personal purposes. Maybe having so many services publicly like net banking, mobile banking, and so many other things you may be using, mail survey, mail account, whatever you may be having. But you may be using, but how the concept is being there. Yes, this is the way the concept is being there. Okay, no? So this is a thing what you have to know. If you have any doubt, please you can ask.
As of now, no.
Okay. So then we can continue further. So then we can go to that next slide. Yes, we can come back to our DNS thing. So domain name, just overall idea we may be knowing. So that means we are going to give a name to our computer. Already our computer is having IP address. So already we are having the IP address. So along with that IP address, we are giving the name also. We are going to give naming to our computer to make our computer as a server or to give some service. Okay, now. So that is the purpose of the thing. So what is the way this name to IP to name is working? Yes, that is the work of the DNS server. So that's why we are having that forward lookup reverse lookup, like that concept. And this is a configuration also. We'll be starting here. How your IP to name and the name to IP is getting converted. Because as human being, we are using google.com. But your computer is converting google.com to corresponding IP address, and that is communicating with the corresponding computer. So when the reply comes, again it will be reconverting back IP to name, and it will be showing to you over the browser. So this is the way the purpose of the DNS is working. Okay, that is the purpose of the DNS. IP name, name to IP, the corresponding conversion. So how this concept is working? So how to do that concept as an engineer, as a system engineer, how to configure that service in our local computer, in our virtual lab. So that is the purpose. Okay, now. So that is the purpose. So what are the steps are required to do the corresponding setup? What are the steps are required to do the corresponding setup? Okay, now. So here a lot of things are there. There will be studying one concept called host. And your end of the DNS configuration, you have to set up your computer as a client to access your server. That means you will be acting as a server as well as client. So how the communication is going, as well as how that now this you have seen what is the way that your host name, your domain name, and whatever other parameters we are having, that what is the top level domain, so .co.in or .in or .com, .org or whatever thing. So this is a country specific top level domain, and then so this is in the country also category specific commercial of India, and .edu.in, so education institution in India. So like that category specific also we are having. So the how that this dot is being used, how that is, what is the difference, what is the meaning of the dot here while configuring the DNS server, how to do that one, what are the different meanings we are having here, all those things will be getting idea when we configure the DNS server. And then in that we can configure a lot of subdomains also we can configure along with your adapter. If I'm configuring Naili.in, I'm configuring Chennai.naili.in, Calicut.naili.in, Delhi.naili.in, Chandigarh.naili.in, like that, whatever we can configure, subdomain also configure. So we can give the subdivide our domain name. Instead of buying a new domain for each and every office, we can buy only one common domain, and we can give different subdomain to each office. So like that also we can give. Then how to configure those things? So that too we are going to see as a subdomain. And then what is the way these are different configurations in connection with the DNS to be done? So this is called a zone. So whatever I show now, because IP to name, name to IP, forward or reverse lookup. So how these things are to be done as a different zone file. What is the way to configure the different zone file? And then in that each and every zone, what are the authoritative, non-authoritative values we are having, and then corresponding RRs, which is called resource records, like IP address, name, mail ID, and then name service, and then zone of authority, and then other parameters of other commands of the DNS how to be done. So all those things we are going to see. This is just overall hierarchical structure of our domain name, how that is working. Then what is the way this DNS is getting resolved? Yes, DNS we are having the different things. So we are having that inverse query, iterative query, recursive query. At the time of DNS configuration, you will get idea. These are the, not only this the thing, these are the commands also. How these commands are working and what are the advantages and disadvantages of this, each and everything that we can see. In that, what are the commands we are having specifically, which is called resource records. In that zone of authority, generally we are calling zone of authority is OA, but here representation your command is SOA only. Then what is the way to specify your owner of your domain? Who is the owner of the domain and where that owner role will be there? Those things we can see. Then how the DNS configuration will be there, all those things we can see. And before going to see this one, just one more slide, just I want to add here. Just a second. Here, Nitish, is there that one more, the DNS introduction for the Wireshark, whatever you use, the DNS is the introduction to DNS. Yes, yeah.
Yes, sir. That
Yeah.
presentation is also available, sir.
Yeah,
Let
yes.
me.
Yeah, no, I've taken.
Okay, sir.
Here. And I'm before going to see these configuration things, just I want to add one more also. This already you might have seen, already you are having your what is that version part of the DNS is there. So here actually what is the way the DNS communication is happening? Your iterative and recursive, how the iterative and recursive is working. So this just for your information, because anyhow this is required for the client side only, but still you need what is the purpose now, because you will get idea how the communication is happening, where the advantage or disadvantage is iterative and recursive, and which one you have to be done when you are doing the local or when you are doing the real in your organization, or when you are looking as a system engineer, what to be done. Whatever you have seen, this is your related to your Wireshark things, whatever domain thing, the hierarchical structure, and then where the root is locating, where the local, any local, once again will be doing as a host thing that will be studied. Yes, this is a one important slide, that how the iterated queries. Iterated query is a default thing. There is no separate command for the iterative. In your configuration, you may be having the command only for the recursive. Recursive yes or no, like that you may be giving. If recursive yes means your communication is going the recursive way. If recursive no, or there is no option to, you are not specifying anything, that means default, that is iterated. That means this is one of the default one. This is one of the default one. And this is one of the optional one. This is one of the optional one. So anyhow, before going to see in detail, just we have to see how the communication is happening. Just assume this is your computer. This is your computer. This is your office server or your organization server. Just assume if you are using virtual lab, this is your VM. This is our office server, which may be our firewall mostly. Or if you are using locally, so whatever your computer in your home or your laptop is, this one, and this will be your ISP, service provider, because there you don't have static IP, in a public IP, that's it. So your organization or your who is service provider IPs, your mostly will be a DSCP. Your home, this is for your home, this is your virtual lab. Okay, so here this is the virtual machine in your home now, that is your laptop or just so your computer, whatever, for an example, you are opening just google.com, the google.com, yes, so you are just assume you are opening the browser or through command prompt through NS lookup or whatever you are giving google.com. The request will go to your ISP if you are using internet in your home, or if you are using internet in your virtual lab, it will go to our server. From there, that server will be communicating in the different way. How the communication is going? Communication going the iterated way. So iterated way in the sense, communication, your first request will go to the root server to identify where is the .com server. So it will be getting the reply your server. With that reply, it will be communicating to the .com server. From there, it will be trying to get where is the Google. It will be getting the reply. When the Google is identified, then it will be going sending the packet to google.com. Just give your DNS query if it is NS lookup command now, or if you are opening through the browser, just open your web page, the home page. So this is the way. That means each and every time the communication is going from your server to the corresponding root server, then the top level domain, then the corresponding main server. So this way of communication is called iterated query. That means every time your server is doing the each and every stages of communication. Then the next thing, which is called a recursive query. You can see the recursive query, how the communication is happening. So this is your client or VM or lab, your laptop. It is your home. So this is your, what is virtual lab? This is your firewall, or if it is your home, this is your ISP. So your request is google.com, your request is going to the ISP or firewall. From there, it will go to the root server. From the root server, it will go in the top level domain. From the top level domain, that is going to the google.com. reply is coming from the google.com, then top level domain, then root server, finally it will be coming. So your server is sending only 2 packets. These 2 packets only is communicating. Here your server is communicating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 packet. Your server is handling 6 packet excluding yourself. Otherwise, including yours, it is a 8 packet. But here 2 plus 2. You are 2 packet and then the corresponding server 2 packets. So only 4 packets only is doing. So here is doing the 8 packets for each and every. So this is the important concept here. Iterated means each and every stage of communication, your server is doing the communication. Your server is doing the communication, and then the advantage in the sense, if anything wrong in the root server or the top level domain or that main server, your server will take care and then it will close the connection if anything goes wrong. That is the main advantage of the iterated query. So what is this advantage? Means if any stage, any issue or any attack or any issue happens, security issue, your iterated query will take care and will close the connection. That's why this is more secure. This is more secure. And where to be used this concept? Whenever you are going to configure a real DNS server in your office, you are buying the DNS domain name from the registry, you are hosting one website, your name.com something, that which is suggested, this is suggested for the production. Suggested for the production purpose. This is a default one. You no need to enable any command. If you are not enabling anything, a default is iterated query. This is suggested for the production purpose because of the security. The second one is, so this one, second one is this one, because this one, the communication is going from your server to top level domain, sorry, root to top level domain to the main server. Reply is coming. If any stage, any issue, now this server won't take care. You are requesting google.com, but you are getting reply as a how.com. So some issue is happening in the top level domain server. So it has to give the IP address of the google.com. Instead, that is giving the IP address of the yahoo.com. Like that, there may be some chance of security issue. That time, so this recursive query method will give the reply, will give the wrong reply. Then this recursive is not good for production, not good for production server. Then where this is good only for the local. This is good only for the local. Yes, what you are practicing in your laptop or your virtual lab, this is recommended. This is recommended, not good for production. This is recursive thing. These are the 2 way of communications what we are having the DNS. So all other things are related to Ashek. So these 2 slides very important. This you should know. So iterated purpose, iterated query, there isn't any command. Only default, this is iterated. If you are not specifying the recursive, if recursive yes means you are enabling recursive mode. If recursive no means you are disabling recursive. That means enabling the iterative. That is the meaning of that. Then what about that another local query that we'll be seeing in that end of the DNS configuration? There is a host thing, local DNS. That is called local host. Local host that we'll be studying separate at the end of the DNS. These 2 communications very important because your DNS is communicating to the iterative way or the recursive way. These 2 slides very important. Already this slide you are having the Wireshark things. Already you are studying the Wireshark. So now you can remember your Wireshark things. Is there any doubt in this 2 communication part? Any doubt in this communication? Please.
No.
Okay, so then we can go further. So just I'm going back to our configuration. So this is your thing. Now we have to start the DNS configuration. So what is the way to start the DNS configuration? So the DNS configuration, this is a server to be configured for zone file. Then this is the first thing. Second thing, you have to different records you have to add. At the end, once you have added everything, yes, you have to do the reverse lookup. That is the second thing. Then you have to verify everything with using the different commands, configuration, and then your forward and then reverse you lookup. Both the thing you have to verify. Then you have to enable that startup service, and then you have to restart the service through this way or service way or CH config or system detail, whatever way. Then you have to verify your service is running. Then you have to test through what are the commands? Through ping command, host command, Linux, host command, then dig command. Ping command, pinging with your domain name, host with your domain name now will get the IP address, or host with the IP address now will get domain name. That is the main purpose of this one. The same host command with the detail dig with the different parameter. So dig with whatever your domain name with the www, then dig with your domain name with the parameter AXF for all these parameter with your domain name now. So you will be getting whatever things your whatever domain, subdomain, or whatever SOANS record, your CNAME or A record, and then other or MX record, whatever you are configuring, everything will be getting here as a final thing. If you are getting this one, yes, your DNS server is working fine. Okay, now if you give that IP host to IP to domain or whatever thing, you can give their IP address or the domain. With IP address, domain name will come. If you give the domain name, IP address will come. If you configure forward lookup, so forward lookup and then reverse lookup. So if you are not doing the reverse lookup, this concept won't come. So reverse lookup is optional. Why? If your reverse lookup part mostly will be maintained by your ISP. You no need to do. You no need to do. But anyhow, for our learning purpose, we are doing as extra. Once your DNS configuration is over, that is to be done as extra, because that is not to be done for the practical purpose. This is not required. This command not required for the practical. Only what required? Host with only your domain name, like www.abcd.com, whatever you configure, or without www also, whatever. So that means it will be giving IP address as your reply. So this is the thing what you have to do. So this reverse lookup not required. Anyhow, we are teaching that extra after the DNS thing and before the web server, and this is extra topic. Because the why this extra? Because it's not required. This is managed by your internet service provider. So we no need to configure any reverse lookup purpose. Okay. Just for information only, you are going to see. Or sometimes you are getting confused, even you don't study also, you can go through your configuration. Anyway, I given the configuration here. So complete configuration, what are things you have to do in that reverse lookup, that added, and how to verify and how to test also, all those things we are having. So this is your DNS thing, and then once you are completed this one, you will get idea what is with the DNS is working and how to do the DNS and how to configure the DNS. Okay. So this is very, very important thing. So what are the steps to be done? So the first thing what you have to do, you should have a fresh OS, fresh Linux operating system, Linux OS. Then second thing, you have to set a host name. Without host name, you should not do. You set a host name. You have to set a static IP. To set a static IP. You have to disable your SC Linux. Disable your firewall. So all those things to be done. These are the first step to be done. The second thing, what you have to do? What is the second thing to be done? The second thing, you have to install the software. What is the software? The name of the software is called Bind. Yes. Theoretically, we are telling DNS. Name of the software is called Bind, and the name of the service is called Named. Another way to call small letter L. named, and the corresponding configuration will be named.conf. So these are the three things, because these are one of the special software. Theoretically, domain name you are telling. Practically, we are having two names. One is name of the software to be configured. So yum install bind. This is the command. Bind. Then once you have installed bind, there will be a configuration file in your /etc called named.conf. In that only you have to do. In that only you have to do the configurations things. That only you have to configure the configuration of your DNS entry. Then you have to configure your zone file. Then just verification only. As per the PPT, we have to do this verification. So this is our DNS things. So then what you should have now? So theoretically, you know what is the DNS is communicating, but practically you have to start DNS. For that purpose, some of the prerequisites you should have. So make sure your computer, you should have operating system. All you people are having Linux operating system. CentOS you are having. In that, what you have to do? You have to already these things already over. You are having virtual lab Linux operating system. You are having almost that is fresh only. Then you have to set a host name. Then what host name you have to set? You have to set your name as a host name. And then you have to set a static IP. What is you have to set the static IP? Already you are having the DSCP. Whatever DSCP through dynamic IP you are having. So whatever DSCP you are having, that IP itself you have to set as a static. Because without static IP, this server cannot be configured. This to be done. So static IP you have to do. Then other things tomorrow I'll be teaching you what is the way you have to start these things. Okay now. So before that, you should have in your Linux operating system, in your virtual lab, set a host name, set a static IP, and verify that. If you have any doubt in the static IP, just get support from our Ritesh as well as our Ram Prasad and then Yogiraj. We are having 3 people. They will be supporting. You are 13 people are there. So these things you have to do today. When you do this today, and tomorrow morning 11 o'clock, we'll start the practical. And then if you have any doubt in the theory, you can just verify the 3 slides, very, very important. One is that full qualified domain name, that slide. Then iterative and recursive, that is overall one you can consider. And the third one is this one. What are ready to be received for the configuration. So you will get idea, because now I start again, it will take 1 hour. So tomorrow 11 o'clock we can start a session, and before that make sure your computer should have proper host name, proper static IP, because static IP sometimes you may be doing some mistake. And then yes, now today you can do the static IP. It is just you can help with our team complete the static IP of all our people in our virtual lab. Okay now, make sure everybody is having proper host name and proper static IP.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So when they were completing this today and tomorrow morning 11 o'clock, so we can start a DNS. So tomorrow onwards, you have to do the practice. You can configure 5 to 10 times. You can do the practice. Then only you can able to do this. This is a very, very important thing, and you will be feeling very happy to do this one, because you will be getting what is the way this server is working, how the Google people are configured, how the Yahoo people are configured. Like that, you will come to know how to configure your own domain. So you'll get idea about that. And then you can do this one, because whatever job you go for, cloud security or system, whatever thing, so people will be asking question from the things which is called DNS onwards. Only people will be asking the question. So this is very, very important thing. So you have to get practice. By the way of doing only, you will get practice. You have to configure 5 to 10 domain as part of our exercise requirement. So then you will get expertise in the DNS thing. Then easily DNS can be configured. If you do this setup also, you will get complete 90 mark. Your one practical is 90 mark. So complete 90 mark you will get. This is one of the very, very important thing. By looking, you can feel this sometimes maybe easy, but while practicing only, you will get idea what are the different practical issues are there. So after doing all those zone file, then we are having that local host configuration. So all these things we are going to tomorrow. Okay now. This is very, very important thing. So tomorrow I'll teach you what is the way to do these setups. So now you can go to this theory, and then these 3-4 slides will get idea. Tomorrow morning 11 o'clock we can start our thing. Get clear if you had any doubt in that. Then we can start the practical. Then you have to do. Then you will be giving sufficient time to do this one, or if you have any difficulty, anything, or doubt, anything, if required to teach multiple time also, we don't have any issue. We can teach multiple time also the same thing or the same practical. So 3-4 class also will take no issue. But you can go through anyhow. We are having the practical, the recorded session also we are having. Anyhow, no, if you have any other doubt also, you can let us know. You can. Because in this week, important thing is you have to complete this DNS by this week. You will be getting sufficient time to do the exercise also. Get clear your doubts the people, and then if required you can take a remote of your virtual lab also and get support from our people. And before that, today what you have to do, after going through the theory, you have to do these two things you have to complete: setting a host name, setting a static IP, working IP. At the end of that one, after rebooting your VM, make sure your computer is getting internet, is pinging with your .com or whatever it is. Okay, now you have to make sure that your computer is ready for server configuration. Okay, any doubt is there, pa? Just we have completed half of the DNS only, just theory part only. So practical part we can see tomorrow. So tomorrow only we'll come to know how the DNS is working. Any doubt is there, pa, up to this part? If you have any doubt, please let me know. Okay. So then we can see tomorrow, and before that, just to make sure your computer should have proper host name and proper static IP. So IP, whatever being displaying, so that you have to set it as a static IP. And then if you have any doubt, anything, yes, you can get clear with our Ritish, and if required, you can take support also remotely. Virtual lab, we can take control of your VM, and we can verify and we can rectify the issues also. Just you can get support from our people and try to complete this thing by today itself. By today evening should have, and security other things maybe tomorrow I'll explain. Now not required. Only host name and static IP you should complete today. Okay now. So other things I'll be explaining tomorrow. Then we can see the installation of the DNS server. Then we can verify the DNS server. Then you can practice multiple DNS server. Later we can configure the web server, mail server, file server, all those things, and we can integrate with these DNS. To do that exercise, you have to complete this exercise. Without this exercise, you cannot go further. That's very, very important. That's why this is very, very important. Okay, now you have to keep it in mind. Without this completing this exercise, you cannot go further. See, if I am teaching also, there is no meaning of that exercise. So you have to complete this one perfectly. And not only that, you have to configure minimum 5 to 10 DNS. You have to configure without referring. Also, you can try. Then only you will get idea. Okay. Yes, please, Santosh. If you have any doubt, please. Hello, Santosh.
No, sir, it's clear.
Okay.
The hand was
Okay. Okay, so we can see tomorrow morning. We can see, and before that, just try to complete in your virtual lab these two things. Okay, now. Okay, bye, pa.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.